Okay, hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Winds of Change. And I'm not going to be saying that many more times. We are now on quest 4. Yeah, quest 4 for Winds of Change out of 7. So we're kind of getting on there now. This next quest, it's not my favourite because you can fail it, and I mean you can kind of try to make this about skill, but I tend to find a lot of the time this is really just about luck and very centric on making sure your whole party has got some kind of speed boost. So I've been saying it for a while, but I've added full back onto my team, 2 copies of on my mesmers, and hopefully this will be okay. Wait, was it on both my mesmers? No, one was on one mesmer, one was on the Master of Whispers. So yeah, hopefully this will go alright. I'll explain it when we get in there. I'm going to speak to Kaineng as ever, and he says to be in hard mode, and then he says, while your valor has certainly earned you a moment's rest, I'm afraid the Ampha and Jade Brotherhood disagree. It seems they aren't taking their failure particularly well, and are leaving a wake of destruction behind them as they fall back to regroup. At first, they were simply looting the city, unwilling to go home empty-handed, but things are starting to turn a lot uglier out there. They've begun terrorizing the residents for sport, and I fear many lives will be lost if we do not intervene immediately. My forces are too few to handle this alone, and the Ministry of Purity is nowhere to be found, of course, because remember, they're all the way halfway to the Echo Valley Forest, to say again. You'd almost think that they wanted the palace to fall. Our fine... See, that's interesting. I could imagine that, because then Reiko could step in. She could just wipe out the criminals, and then she could step in, and she'd have the whole empire. See? Clever. Our fine citizens have already had to endure far too many hardships. We can't stand idly by as these thugs kidnap, rob, and murder them. Please, if you are able, I ask you to go out and teach these bullies to pick on someone their own size. Yeah, alright, that's reasonable. We'll see who's terrified when I'm done with them, or, oh, come on, I just saved your entire empire from certain destruction. I need a vacation. No. There's no vacation for us as a hero. Well, there might be soon. Yeah, there's some news, guys. I was actually supposed to mention it yesterday. And there were 2 things I didn't mention yesterday. One was the yo-yo thing, which really wasn't that interesting, so I wouldn't worry about it. And the other was that. It's actually something I found out. It's kind of made me realise, and I'm surprised I didn't think of it, because it was a good topic to sort of segue into after I had my little, oh, I don't keep up with news anymore speech in the last episode. But, yeah, it's quite big, and it kind of affects this channel in a few ways. It's about Guild Wars 1, and I ask you to bow your heads for a moment. Actually, no, we'll continue on, and then I'll tell you. It's not good news, though. Right, so here's how the quest works. Maybe I can press L and tell you guys. Well, these Crimson Skull Marauders are speaking, and there's some Peacekeepers here. The Marauders say, I'm not going home empty-handed. Hand over your gold. And the peasants say, you've lost, and now you want, and you know it. Now go back to that hole you came from. And we say some other stuff, I presume, or more stuff is said. See, we're fighting Peacekeepers and Corsairs, and okay, so basically here's how the mobs are set up here. It's still a real variety. This time there are loads of different like from all the different groups mixed in on one, and they're going to be trying to kill the peasants, right? So hold on, once this group's dead, maybe I can take a second to press L and show you guys. The idea of the quest is you need to save the peasants' lives, defeat the mercenaries attacking the civilians, and do not allow more than 3 groups of peasants to die. So when you get within 2 compass aggro range of some enemies or one of these groups, you'll see that they run in and start trying to kill the peasants. You have to get there sharpish. You have to get there as quickly as you possibly can to save said peasants. What was he just saying about the Emperor? Oh, that must be just regular Cantha stuff. You have to save the peasants. If all the peasants die, then that counts as one of the groups dying, and you can't let more than 3 groups die, because then that will fail the quest. Now, the thing here is, it's very dependent on, the best you can really do is make sure you have all your teams got some kind of an increased movement speed. Past that, without some serious headaches for yourself trying to, like, micro together, was this really the ideal way to get to this next group? Without some serious headaches trying to, like, micro onto the peasants, which is just going to be in a huge, like, clusterfuck on the screen that you're not really going to be able to see what's going on. Without that, I mean, I don't really know what else you can do. It's just very reliant on, hey, are the enemies going to target us, or are they going to target the peasants straight away? And you can't really do much else past that. Here I've probably engaged from the wrong side. That peasant's definitely going to die, but there's still 2 left. 1 peasant in the group, only one has to survive, and it will still count as the whole group surviving, so don't worry about just 1 dying. It's just a slightly annoying quest, because I mean, very quickly you can realise, oh shit, like 2 groups have already died and I've got most of the quest left to complete. And for me, I mean, I just don't feel like it rewards skill as much as it does just a little bit of luck every now and then. It's not that hard though, don't get me wrong. I'm expecting us to complete this first time. Just make sure you've got something like fallback or charge if you're really into using it, wasting an elite for that and using a warrior for whatever reason. Maybe you could do that, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes. The peasants say, get away from me, you hulking beast, and he says, so yeah, that's those peacekeepers talking like normal. I would suggest, I suppose, attacking these guys as best as you possibly can, but this group always dies for me, actually, if I remember correctly. Always dies. Look how easy it is for these peasants to just bite the bullet. These guys are out, definitely, but you can let 3 groups die, don't forget that. So yeah, there you go. So I think that's that group dead. See, there's not even a counter for how many groups you've let die already, which is kind of irritating. So you have to watch that as well. So you could just fail the quest out of nowhere and be like, "Oh, what happened there?" Anyway, right. So this news, it's bad news. It's not about me. It's about Guild Wars. I was on Guild Wars 2 Guru the other day looking around at minis because I wanted to see what the new minis were for the 7th year, which, by the way, I was a little bit pissed off about. It looks like they might be doing like the ultra rare minis for the gifts, and I know if the amount of effort that goes into the players that have been working on those, and at the end of the day, if you're still playing Guild Wars 1 PvE in any kind of like serious manner, those are your goals. It's those minis you're working towards. So but now you can get them as 7th year presents, which means there's theoretically just going to be loads in the game just coming out of nowhere, which sucks because that means all those people still playing PvE seriously, all of them, all their goals that they've been working for are now kind of like being undercut completely, and anyone who's already got one, it kind of screws them over because they've been working so hard and now all of a sudden it's kind of easy to get, which I think sucks fairly hard. But yeah, so that's what's going on with the pets. Anyway, so I was on Guild Wars 1 looking for this. Did all the peasants here die again? No, one of them survived. All 3 of them survived. Okay, that's good. I don't want to go up there before I finish saying this because we might be near the end of the quest now, actually. Shit. Anyway, I was on Guild Wars 1 Guru reading about. Turns out there's news that I completely goes by me. I mentioned this last episode. One said bit of news is the live team, John Stummy's crew, shall we say, the people that make Guild Wars Beyond content, all that stuff. They've announced that they've moved to Guild Wars 2, and this happened a while ago. So they're in Guild Wars 2 now. They're just fully supporting Guild Wars 2, and the only things we're really expecting from Guild Wars 1 is... I don't even think they said anything. They said after the 7th year anniversary, which at the end of the day, as you guys saw, they just added the Hounds of Balthazar, and that was it. There's not really anything else going for Guild Wars 1. They didn't say never, but it looks like up until the launch of Guild Wars 2, at least for what we can see right now, the live team isn't doing anything, which is why we haven't heard anything about the next part of Guild Wars Beyond. Which does obviously mean that once we've done with Winds of Change here, it could be a very long time before we're seeing the next chapter of Guild Wars Beyond, whatever they're planning on doing in Nightfall. It does also mean that maybe once Guild Wars 2's out, they'll have a larger amount of people for the live team, and the next chapter of Guild Wars Beyond, we'll have to wait a lot longer for it, but it could be a lot cooler for it, because they'll have more resources to dedicate to it, which would be quite cool. But it does mean that it could be a while, guys. I've always maintained this. If they ever do actual more content for Guild Wars 1, even if it's like 2 years into Guild Wars 2's life, I will do coverage of it. Don't worry about that. But I thought you should know. This is why we haven't heard anything. And I was completely unaware of this until about 3 days ago now, because I was going to mention it yesterday, and I'd seen it like a day. I saw it like the day after I filmed the anniversary celebration, I believe, which kind of sucks. But yeah, at least one thing, as you saw there, if you're quick, while these groups are talking to one another, there is a delay until they start trying to kill the peasants, which is nice because they just stand around talking. But yeah, just keep blowing things up. This quest always reminded me of... Somebody mentioned, not yesterday's episode, but the day before, which you guys only saw yesterday because it took me a day to upload because I'm having to split it like ridiculous now. But someone mentioned that it was like a Batman Dark Knight reference. I actually think this quest reminded me very much of, not the Dark Knight, the first Batman film, Batman Rises, was it? Or Batman Begins? I don't remember the names of the series. Batman Begins was of the previous like franchise, wasn't it? Anyway, the one where like all the people escape from Arkham Asylum, and that's kind of how it ends, and there's all the fear and that. This quest reminded me of that, like of all the thugs running around the city and stuff. Did anyone else get that kind of vibe from it? I certainly did. Alright, we're going to run over here. I'm going to read the dialogue. These peasants said, if you want them, you're going to have to go through me first. It will be a cold day in corner before I take commands about my killing order from the likes of you. See, I find it a bit weird Cornins are here, because I like to believe that they were really just good people. They were just being, like, following Varesh. Varesh is gone, and she's been gone for a long time. I don't really agree with their decision to put Cornins here, because now it just makes all Cornins look like evil bastards, which totally isn't true. I mean, they were an enemy faction, granted, but, I didn't really like the fact that they did that, but they did, so there's that. We're going to keep killing. Did these guys have anything to say? Apparently not. We're going to come over here. Did those guys just spawn when I killed the previous group to force you to have to do it in order? That's interesting. My rice wine, you thief, says the peasant. Looks like someone needs to quiet you down, human.